Hello all, welcome to rotarynails.com. In this session, we'll discuss about how do we send an email in Oracle Apex. So let's get into outline. So we'll discuss about how do we send an email using an approach called using Apex underscore mail API. And another approach is called like a send email type process. Okay. So these are some of the types which are available or these are some of the ways where you can send an email. Okay. Let's start with Apex mail send approach. So when you're sending an email, generally what we require is we require a to address, from address, CC, subject, body, right? And if at all, if you know, they can send the text body or you can send the HTML body. And also you can have the attachment. Okay. So now here, if you observe the example, the API name which we are using is apex underscore mail dot send. Okay. It's a function. And also it is having there's a different signature. The procedure is also there, but in this example, we are using a function. And we have to pass all these respective parameter values. Okay. And if at all, if you want to send the attachment, okay. Now let us say here, if you observe, I want to send an attachment, but I have to mention what is the ID, right? To which email ID you want to send it. Nothing but like when you're sending an email, this particular function returns an ID. We have to pass that ID to the add attachment API. And also you can mention the blob content, file name, and file type. Okay, so here in this example, I'm just trying to get these particular three parameter values from one of the table Apex application files and then adding the attachment. To a single email, you can add up multiple attachment, and also don't forget you have to mention commit once you call the API. Okay, let's see the usage of this particular functionality in our Apex page. So this is one of the Apex page which I have designed and where we have mentioned these set of parameters like from address to CC, subject, and body. Okay, these are all the set of text input parameters, and this is text body parameter, and we have a send email button. So what are we doing is on send email button, we are calling this particular PLC call process on send email button. So like I just created a custom process send email button, and the type is execute code and language, the PL SQL. And in this particular PL SQL code, just mention this particular code. And here, if you observe the parameters which I'm passing is like a to address coming from our particular input parameter, the page 3 from address, page 3 from, and similarly to subject body and body body HTML. For HTML content, I just hard coded, but the remaining content I just mentioned that. An attachment, like I just use this particular for loop and getting the attachment from here. Okay, and this is all about the logic we have to write in the PL SQL code. And the remaining stuff, you can mention these things like a success message, error message, and also when you want to call this button, on the button name, send email button. Okay, so the button ID which I mentioned is send email BTN. So on send email button, when button press, mention this particular functionality. Okay, so before proceeding further, let us see the page design and just try to send a sample email so that we can understand. So this is the page. So I'll say this is the email body sending an email from Oracle Apex. Okay, let's try to send this one. Okay, it says sent email successfully. Let's go to my email. It just takes a couple of seconds, maybe 1 or 2 seconds. Okay, let's wait till it sends. So till the time, what we do is, so let us understand the page functionality. So here, if you observe, these are the normal text fields. One, these are text field. These are all text fields. And this one is a text area. And this is a button. And then in the processes, what you do, you create a process. And this is a process name I mentioned, send underscore email underscore process. The type is execute code. And the language here, you have to mention by default anyway. When you select execute code, it will be like this only, PL SQL. And just see the content, what we mentioned here. We mentioned to address, CC also I mentioned, from subject body. And the remaining is the same code which I discussed. Okay. Let's try to refresh this one. Yep. Right. We are able to see this stuff, right? Latest one. Okay. So now here, what is happening is what are the body content which we mentioned, it was not working. So it is automatically taking the HTML content which we mentioned. So the HTML content was mentioned in the PL SQL code. Okay, the HTML content was mentioned here. So what I'll do is, if at all, if you don't want this to be passed, just don't pass this particular one. Okay, don't pass the HTML content. Okay, now let's say I'll say okay, save it. Let's try. Okay. Now I'll just try to resend it. Okay. Now we can see like once it receives, it will take some time. So till that time, what we do is we'll discuss the next functionality, what we have done. This is using AWS email API, and the next functionality we want to discuss is sending the same set of email using the send email process. The only difference here you observe is instead of writing a PL/SQL code like using the send email Apex mail.send API, what we are doing is we are calling the standard process which is available. The standard process name is send email. Okay, send email, and we have to in the settings area you have to mention all these particular parameters like from to CC subject. Okay, BCC, and also success message, error message, when button pressed, also you have to mention, and also you can mention attachment functionality. So let me show you from the page, like a page designer, so that we'll understand that. So yeah, we received the email also. Parallelly, we can check that also. Yep. So this is the email body sending an email from Apex, right? So either of them, like when you were sending an email content, which is a non-HTML, either you can send the non-HTML body or HTML body. Both you can't send it, okay? Now the other page, right? Let me show the other page which you have designed. That is using send email process page. So here the page designing wise, everything is same. The only difference is in the process functional, in the process area here, if you observe, the type what we mentioned is send email process. Instead of execute code, we mentioned send email process. And once you mention the send email process, by default, it provides you the list of settings to be provided for this particular process. And once you mention that, you can mention the attachment SQL also. You can mention the body HTML coding also, and make sure that you mention this one also when button press server side condition, so that it will get called only when this button is pressed. Okay, so yeah, this is all about the button. I mean the mail functionality in Oracle Apex. Either you can use Apex mail.send or you can use send email process. Okay, either of them you can use it depending upon your requirement. Thank you.